Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe football show. I hope you are all doing well. We're here to talk about Leeds United in general, really, all the latest news, but we're also going to touch on yesterday's 4-1 win over Hannover 96, where Leeds dominated, really, over both 45s, two different lineups, looked really, really strong. Certain points, we went back to a back four. Little hot tip there to Joe. Well done, mate, coach. We did do that. Mateo Joseph continues to shine, which is a positive. Aronson looked really, really good. Vobel looked well when he came on as well. There's loads for us to get into. Obviously, we heard after the match as well that basically Farke's happy with the squad. I get the lad's opinion on that, apart from he wants another centre midfielder and another fullback. So we've got 4 fullbacks in effect. If you include Byram, there's 3. Add another in there. And basically be happy to go ahead with that. So we'll get everyone's thoughts on that. And we had the bid rejected for Ljubicic, right? Ljubicic. So we'll talk about that as well, because it looks like Leeds United will go back in again after having 4 million, was it, rejected? I think it seems our price range at the minute, done it, and it probably looks like we might end up coming back from Germany with 2 players. I think they might also have an eye on a fullback over there potentially, and then we'll come back and that'll be us done. But everyone in the chat, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to these lovely lads as well. And yeah, let's talk about it. So Joe B, we'll come to you. Talk about the game with me, pal. Your initial thoughts.
Yeah. I went into the match a little bit beforehand. I was like, okay, let's have a look, because, I mean, throughout the day, I basically spent the day like, right, okay, so I want to do a stream when the match happens, so I can do like a watch-along-y thing. But then again, some Norwegian pay-per-view channels let everyone down, so that's not happening anymore, and it all just sort of started adding up. But despite all the technical malarkey, I think it was a pretty good match. I enjoyed the fact that Hannover, genuinely not a bad side, sort of top end of the, I think it's Zweite Bundesliga, I think, the second one, which is a decent enough level. It's sort of like mid-table championship-y, maybe above that. And the fact that we just sort of made it look a bit of a walk in the park, really very happy with that. That was kind of, yeah. It's nice to watch Leeds and have fun and know that they're roughly the standard that we'll be playing next season rather than Harrogate.
That's a good point. It's also, I guess, it's all right watching it knowing you've won 4-1 as well, Joe. Do you know what I mean? I was a little bit annoyed that happened, because I thought the blackout would have stayed until we had a chance to watch it, not right on full time, like right now you can tell everyone. I was a bit like, well, I was listening to the Inside Ellen Road pod today, and they did say they got a bit of stick on Twitter saying spoiler alert. So they said for the next game they're going to put out spoilers coming, so that if you don't want to see the result, you don't have to. So yeah, Joe, what were your initial thoughts, mate, on the drubbing? Because that's what it was, really, a drubbing.
Yeah, 4-2-3-1 drubbing, 4 at the back, with 2 fullbacks, 2 centre backs, and a goalkeeper. Yeah. It was a drubbing, but I thought we played some lovely football from very, very early on. I thought we had some lovely combination plays. The pace at which we moved the ball at was really, really good. I really like Joe Rothwell and what I've seen of him so far, and just how quickly he moves the ball. He takes minimal touches. It's one of my criticisms of Kamara last year was when he got the ball, it would be 1 touch, 2 touch, open out pass. Whereas you saw with Rothwell yesterday, it was ball in, gone straight away. It just keeps the move going. I thought the Firpo-Aronson partnership on the left-hand side of the pitch looked really exciting. One going inside, one going outside. Brandon looking to get on the ball as much as he could, which was good. Yeah, a lot to like. That front press the first 25, 30 minutes was excellent. That's a proper press. Last year we talked about Leeds doing a press, and Farke kept saying about, well, Pirro can't do the press like Bamford, and I kept saying, what press? What press?
True.
That's a press. What we saw yesterday is a full-on press. Wingers, and even Ilya Gruev made a lovely statement today saying last year he was never really sure if he was supposed to go forward or not, or stay or go, where this year he says he's much clearer on what his role is and was able to get forward and score a goal. So all in all, really good run out again, plenty of minutes in the legs, decent opposition, couple of goals. Mateo Joseph looks the part as a 9. Was very happy with that. Especially that near post run goal. I was talking about on my own podcast with Lockie.
Do you know what as well, Joe? Just on that, Bamford makes that same run, but it doesn't go in the back of the net. So I think he's got the Bamford, but he's also got he just looks like everything he's going to touch is going to turn to goals, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, and it is a sweeping statement to say Bamford doesn't score because he did score goals as well. Like he has scored goals in his career. I think it's unfair to say that he wouldn't score them, but he wouldn't score all of them, and it's on his left foot, which means he opens out. You know, I think from Mateo Joseph, you've just seen a much more clinical striker. And going back to the Harrogate game, we were talking afterwards. I said that when Joffrey was playing in the 9, I wanted to see him be more mobile as a 9. What I meant by that, and if you look at Mateo Joseph yesterday or today as you watched it, he was all over the place. He was coming short, receiving the ball, turning, getting in the box, getting on the end of things, really busy. And that's what you want to see. I thought Joffrey, when he came on the wide right position and then into the 10, actually looked much better than he did against Harrogate for me. I was much happier with him. So, yeah, another player looked really busy. All in all, like just ticking boxes all across the park of what you want from a preseason friendly.
Yeah, I agree. It was very good, wasn't it, Lockie? It was a nice run out.
Yeah, man. Honestly, there's not much to add to what these guys have said, to be honest. But what I will say is, the two things that really impressed me with the press, I think it was relentless for the first 30 minutes. Really good, but done well. Not just aggressive, but done well. The triggers were right. They literally had no way out. I think we won the ball in the first half about 4 or 5 times from doing the exact same thing. And the passing, the way which we moved it quickly and precisely with effect as well. I was really impressed by that. And the people saying, look, it's only Hannover. Look, of course, at the end of the season, look, this game will mean absolutely nothing. We won't even remember it. But in terms of a quality opponent, they almost got promoted back to the Bundesliga last season. They're a decent side. I think they've got the 4th highest valued squad in that league. I looked at the values earlier. It's similar to like Swansea, QPR type of players in terms of value. So they're a decent side by all means. But we were brilliant. I think that their manager came out, didn't he, today, saying we've got 15 outstanding players. So that's respect, We look like a good side, mate. We looked like a good side yesterday.
Yeah,
good signs.
We did. And like you say, they're definitely a level of the Championship. And someone actually told me they're 5 games into pre-season as well. On the stream. I don't know how true that is. We're only, 3? So
they're a week ahead, I think.
Yeah,
a week or so ahead.
They're further ahead in the development than us. And it just shows the level of play we have because they didn't really lay a glove. I know they scored a goal, which Melier in my chat was getting stick for, but it's all on Strout for me for the hospital pass.
It's a horrible pass.
A horrible pass.
Put it in the air.
Exactly.
Put it in the air. What's supposed to do with
that? But this is Melier. The hate is already starting, folks. We'll have to deal with this, unfortunately. It is what it is. But yeah, it was a really good showing. Let's talk about some individuals then. Should we talk about Brendan Aronson? Because when I had originally seen the score, people kept telling me like, "Oh, Aronson," and I just thought, in the Championship, the lad's just going to be.
Yeah, man.
I think he's going to be gold. Honestly, I do. I think he's been really good.
Yeah, it will be. Well, let's be honest. I think you could always question his end product, and we did see it yesterday. He had some decent shots, but 1 or 2 were a little wasted at times. He probably should have passed it, and 1 was a bit wide. But as anywhere in that middle before the edge of the box, he's ridiculous. These Championship defenders, they're not quick enough for him. They're not quick enough. He's too quick. The way in which he dropped his shoulder 2 or 3 times yesterday, the way in which he gets involved in the build-up, he's not shy either. I like that about him. He's a player that, regardless of whether he's been good in a game, he doesn't hide. He's not shy. He likes to get involved in tight areas, and I like that. And as Joe mentioned earlier, I think it was Joe, about the combinations between him and Firpo, that will be absolutely deadly if that's the position he plays next season, because they're 2 good players in this league, very attack-minded, very smart individuals. So, yeah, Aronson, my fellow skinny brother, was really good. I'm so happy for him. I'm glad.
We talk about goals from midfield as well. He wasn't afraid to have a goal yesterday, Lockie. I felt he kept coming in and he would have shots here and there. And I think over the course of the season, you're going to see him score. Do you think he'll play? Where do you think his role will be within the side? Like, if he's to start?
I'm still not sure.
Yeah, it's hard,
still not sure. I'm genuinely not. He'll play. I think that's clear. He'll start. I think now. I'm still assuming Somerville goes and potentially Nonto. But I think Aronson plays. I don't know where it'd be, whether that's centre. He looked really good on the left. Again, that intensity he brought with the pressing was excellent. For me, he's got to play. I don't know where that'll be. I don't know if anyone else has any ideas, but he's got to play. Him and Rutter in that attack are key, aren't they? Let's be real.
I think as well. Go on, Joe B. Go on.
Yeah, there were a couple of moments where, and I'm not entirely sure if anyone else sort of spotted this bit or if it's something that I noticed once and I sort of hyper focused on and imagined. But the way I was basically seeing us playing in possession was we played in sort of effectively like a 2-3-4-1 sort of thing. So you got your two centre backs. Byron would effectively invert inside to join the midfield. Firpo would functionally play as a winger on the left hand side, and then you got two tens with Rutter and Aronson. Then on the right you got Nonto, whoever's up top. So I think that in possession is effectively what we'll do because you've got that solid defence, you've got a decent like pair of centre backs and those central midfielders happy to drop in because we know that Ampadu does that a fair bit. And then it's a very, very aggressive front line. And it gives Firpo the license to go forwards. And even then, he was still doing all the tracking back that you could possibly ask of him. So I think that's the sort of thing that we could expect. Like, weirdly, that goes out the window if we've got Crescencio Somerville, because he might not play that 10-ish role in the same way as Aronson, but that's the way I saw it yesterday, at least.
That's what I was going to ask you, like, the way that we seem to be lining up, Joe, as well. Are we giving up for a life without Nonto and Somerville, do you think? Do you think that's in Farke's mind?
I think he's planning for it as a contingency, yeah, which is clever, which is smart. He shouldn't be stubborn enough to think that we can just replace those two with any two wingers. They're different players. You know, if we do get replacements in for them, the players that are being mentioned, Raksaki and Jack Clark, are very different types of players to them. So it's not a like-for-like replacement. You've got to have a second option. We were too predictable last year. And I think what you get where Aronson is a little bit less predictability. That no-look pass for Gruev's goal, by the way. Last year, how often were we on the edge of someone's box and couldn't get through? And then you just see that stunning.
And Gruev is advanced, right? He's the one that finds the net. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
proper goalkeeper there and tapped it into an empty net. So great run, all good stuff. But I think he has to. I think you look against Harrogate. He started Nonto. I think he's more likely to have Nonto than Somerville.
Yeah.
I think he might be. I'm starting to my opinion. That's starting to grow, and I'm staying. And both of them staying. The less likely big clubs come in for Creed, the more likely I think he stays. But he has to look at both sides of it. You have a really nice option there with Willie. I think if Dan James had been fit and didn't have that adductor issue that he had yesterday, I think Dan James probably starts on the right, and you see Aronson, James, Georgie, and which I'm all right with, by the way. That's
a press as well. You know, in a press.
Yeah, that's a dangerous press. How quickly they get there.
Aronson and James is crazy, isn't it?
How fast they get to you from when the ball is passed between players is huge. But he has to plan. He has to have a contingency. I mean, you might see games. You get one more game against Schalke. There's a couple of behind closed doors games that haven't been publicised, and then there's Valencia. I think you could see Georgie playing out wide in one of those games as well to have a look at that situation and see what it looks like. But it's good. It's clever contingency planning. But it goes back to this thing of the Leeds are selling everyone. Look at that team now and look at the bench.
So strong.
That's a strong side with good options off the bench. I mean, let's say you start Nonto and Somerville. You then have Dan James and Brendan Aronson on your bench. If you start Matteo Joseph, you got Patrick Bamford and Joe Pirro on your bench. Do you know what I mean? That's a pretty solid bench.
So, are we right in saying that the squad this year will be stronger than it was last?
Almost like it was predicted.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, some of us said it, didn't we, bro?
We might lose 4 or 5 players, you never know.
But Joe, it's important. It's important to panic at every given opportunity. Okay,
I do.
I was going to say, excuse me, do we not remember Joe last week?
I do.
I do. For 4 days.
I hold my hands up. I do. I'm not going to lie to you.
Off the way from my text every other day that just says, "You around for a street? Do you want to jump on real quick?" I was like, I have to go calm Joe down.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny? Every time Joe's like a bit down, me and Andre don't even realise, Joe, we're a lot quieter in the chat.
Oh, really?
Like we'll leave him to for a few days.
They're talking between themselves, just don't talk to him, leave him alone.
Give him a minute, he'll be all right in 10 minutes to calm down. Leave him alone for a second.
To be honest, I did the same last week with Danny from Not Another Leeds pod. He'll tell you I started shouting off at him anyway. I came on my stream and started sending shots to him. He sent me a text. All right, mate, calm down. I was like, no, I'm angry. But yeah,
I was just waiting for the 4-2-3-1 this week. That's all I was waiting for. Is that
and I gave them the props, bro. I gave you it, mate. I gave you look, peppered me a few
What I would say though is
past week.
Yeah. What I would say though is if they do go, and it's likely that 2 of them may end up going, you've got good options there, and they'll be replaced on the bench or potentially with other players there, and be plenty of money there to spend on those replacements if we need them. So I'm okay with that, as long as it doesn't go too late. I mean, you saw what Blackburn did with Smolix this week, outside of the Leeds interest, but Blackburn have said out straight, you've got till the end of the month, and then he's not going anywhere. Anyone interested, your offer will be rejected no matter what size it is. It'll be rejected. Remains to be seen if that actually gets tested. But Leeds need to do the same with Somerville. There has to be a line in the sand now of going, if he's not gone by this date, he stays, because we have to plan for the season. And if we end up, again, like Sinister last month, we can't go a month into the season and then on deadline day lose him, because you will not get a replacement.
No, you won't. Yeah. And any replacements you might have wanted might have been then taken by other clubs as well.
Correct,
right?
yeah.
So
ideally they both stay. And that's a hell of a squad. That's a hell of a team next year if they stay.
I think Liam Miller's our player if one of them go. And I know that doesn't excite people, but it's the fact that Miller's not. I don't think Miller's gone. He's not gone anywhere, has he? It's a bit like the Kamara thing for me. I almost feel he's waiting. I don't know, or is that wrong? Am I wrong to assume?
I don't say if he's necessarily waiting, but it could be an option Leeds could be looking at. I think the Smodix thing is the same situation as well. I think Leeds are having a look, but don't want to go just yet. You know, you sell Creed for 40 million, you buy Smodix for 20. Good business. You know, you had a big player there. And you can spend the other 20 on Jack Clark. Great business. Do you know what I mean? Like that's. Now, they probably won't. They probably go off and buy two players that we don't know about, and they just bring them in. But either way, I would trust them to spend the money smartly.
Cheap.
Come here. There's no problem being. Like I say, it's easy to spend somebody else's money, isn't it? You know, it's if you can do it for cheap, do it for cheap. If you can save yourself some money, this club has wasted so much money so often.
It is true. Yeah,
it needs to stop. So I'm all right with that. And I trust him. And Liam Miller for me, I have no issue with him coming in and playing for Leeds. I think even if he's a bench player, he's a very good player coming on. And if he starts games against teams he's shown last year, he can do it. So yeah, no issues.
Yeah, I agree. The second goal came from Pirro. Obviously, Gruev got the first. Came from Pirro. Pirro's a bit of an enigma. Like he just cannot be in the game, and sometimes can be really frustrating. But if you want anyone to finish, it's going to be Pirro, isn't it? He's gone. It's a great finish, to be fair to Joe. Where do we think his position is in this side moving forward? Like, will he be starting, do you think? Like, because I actually listened to the Inside Ellen Road pod today, and Joe asked Graham how likely he felt it was that Joseph will start against Portsmouth, and he only said 45%. And I was like, really? I'm like 100, because Bamford's only got Valencia game that he's going to probably get minutes in. And I don't see Pirro as the 9. I was quite surprised that he said that. What are we going to do with Pirro? Because he does score. Would you want him... Joe, you just mentioned a lineup just a second ago about the press and that. Like, does Pirro start, or is he a bench player? It's a difficult one, isn't it?
Not for me in that press, he doesn't. No. Because if he can't press... then he can't play in that system. That's the problem with it. And I've said this to you before, and I'm a big believer in this. As a professional sports athlete, especially football, if there's an element of your game that you can't do, get better at it. You've got time, work on it. We've heard all summer. You saw Mateo Joseph's interview with LUTV, and he said that he's constantly looking at his game and trying to find the weaknesses in his game, and then work on them, and reading books on other sports and other athletes to learn how they've used new modern training methods to make themselves better and improve themselves. So he is hyper focused on getting better. And then you hear this thing of, well, Joe Pirro can't press. I'm like, well, that's not a good enough excuse in the modern game. You've got to get better at that. I mean, essentially what pressing is running really quickly for a short amount of time. It's a burst to send somebody in a certain direction. You know, run on the inside of the player so he goes outside and goes down the wing. That's where we want him to go. That's your press. Job done. That's your job done. I don't know why it's so hard that we can't do that. But if he doesn't do it and he can't do it, then for me, he doesn't start. And to me, Mateo Joseph, Pat Bamford's still not training. He's training on his own today, again. So he's still training on his own. He's still not back fully training. I don't see how he starts the first game of the season with one game against Valencia under his belt. I don't see how Joe Pirro starts the season up front in this system. And I think the very obvious decision to make is Mateo Joseph, who right now is banging form.
Yeah. Does anyone else? Go on, Joby. You were going to say, mate.
The issue that I've had sort of with Pirro is that I'm going to do like the square pegs, round holes analogy, but a bit weird. Consider number 9 is square pegs, square holes. Number 10 is round pegs, round holes. And Joel Pirro is a fucking rhombus. I've got no idea where he is meant to be the first choice. I'd call him probably our second choice when it comes to a number 9, because as much as I love him, Pat, please get your legs together. That would be quite nice. In the number 10, Ruter, probably Aronson's ahead of him as well, even though I kind of like Aronson in that wider drifting role. Like, I liked that sort of double 10-ish pivot with Ruter. That was really nice. And So I don't know. I think he's solidly a bench option, but at the same time, coming off the bench last season, I wasn't super impressed with him either because he doesn't like you bring someone on off the bench and you're thinking brilliant, some energy,
Yeah,
but he's not quite got the movement for that. Like you'd rather have like a Dan James or something to have the sprinting around. I just he's a confusing one, I think.
Yeah. Any thoughts on the Pirro conundrum, Lockie? Would you start him? Do you think Farker starts him in, what is it, like 16 days' time or something?
Few
like
weeks,
that?
yeah, not long.
Yeah.
Would I? No, I wouldn't. I'd start Mateo Joseph. I just think he's ready. Everything about Mateo, his physicality, his mentality just seems ready for a player, doesn't it? He just seems proper on it.
Yeah.
Look at every video he's in, man. He's intense. He's learning a lot in these last few years. Yeah, I think he's quality. I really do. But will Farker? That's the question. Farker likes Joe Pirro. He doesn't.
Yeah,
he obviously appreciates his natural goal scoring ability, and he really wants that to work because of that. And I get that. You know, you paid a lot of money for him as well. You want a player like that who has been quality in this league at Swansea. He was quality for 2 years. You really want to try to get that player out because if you can, you could get you 25, 30 goals a season in a really good side, couldn't they? So I understand that, but for me, I think again, I think he's just a good option to have. You know, even if Mateo has a really good season, there will be times in games where, because of how young he is, he might struggle, and that might require a different type of player. There was games, you know, I think of the end-to-end game with Ipswich, where Pirro was really good in that. I think he got a goal and an assist in that game. Obviously, the Norwich one
was great
was really
against
good.
Swansea as well. He scored 2 goals in
he was
10 minutes or something, didn't
that's
he?
it. So there's certain games where he did turn up and he did show signs, and I think it's important we have options. And while he's here, he is an option because he's got that natural goal scoring side to him. And there will be times in the season, whether he plays or not, Mateo Joseph won't score every game. There might be games where he's been bullied a little bit, or it's a bit tough for him to get into it. And Joe Pirro might be that experienced side that we need in that game. But the long-term future striker at this club is Mateo Joseph, innit? Let's be honest.
Yeah, the future is Mateo for sure. Obviously, he got 2 goals in the second half as well. The way that, you know, he ran the line for I think it was the third when Somerville played him in, and it's a real cool finish as well. And then obviously combined with Bogle as well. Bogle looked bright when he came on. I think we're going to see a lot of that next season from Bogle and from Firpo. His goals and assists from them too. I think as fullbacks go, we're pretty locked off, aren't we, with them options. Can we talk about Max Vober? What did you make? Because he brought him on at left back, didn't he? What did we make to Vober's performance? And do you see him as a left back or?
I think there's still an issue there. So it's Max Vober's spoken to Daniel Farker, and they've agreed to stay. What has Daniel Farker said to him that's come to that decision?
Yeah.
Is it you're going to be backup left back? It's not, is it?
It's not. No.
I'm sure he must have told him he'll start. He must have told him he's starting. Otherwise, I'm sure Verba would have made more of a.
I'd have gone, mate. He needs assurances for sure.
So where is that?
Clearly,
what is that?
Yeah. I think,
yeah, maybe. That's what.
Say that again, Joe. Sorry.
I'm joking. It's clearly a back 3.
But then, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one with him because of that. Because he's not a backup left back. He will not be at Leeds and be the backup left back, will he? No. Well, if he is, well,
we'd all be shocked. Yeah.
That wouldn't have been the conversation, would it?
Yeah. And he can play left back, but he's not a natural.
Yeah. And he's not better than Firpo there, is he?
No, he's not. Not. Any thoughts on Vober, lads?
It confuses me a bit because looking at the back line, you've got Firpo, who is a very, very creative, very, very fun wing back, and he fits into that system really, really well. So probably not going to be starting at left back. You look at left centre back, you've got Pascal Struijk, who's been pretty decent apart from a dodgy back pass so far this pre-season, which, fair enough, that wasn't ideal, but at the same time, he's also part of your leadership group. So do you drop him for someone that tried to force the way out last year?
For months as well, and he's been out for months.
Yeah.
But he's still far behind, yeah.
And you're definitely not dropping Rodon to get him in, so it's a bit... I don't know, it's a bit uncertain. Like
He's
playing
got to
him...
be... I know he was joking. It's got to be a back 3 if he is going to play. Otherwise, he is going to be backup left back, and we just can't see a world in which he's backup left back, Joe. I don't know what you...
Yeah, I don't know. I liked the back three as well. It was fun. So
I'd like to see him on the bench for a game or two.
That's just you being nasty, though, isn't it? Like, you
No,
deserve this.
that's you're not going to walk back into the team, pal. You got to work. You're going to work your way back in. You'll get your moments, but it's a long season. It's 50 games, but you include the cup and everything else. You've got plenty of time. You can sit back for a bit. You're a couple of weeks behind everybody else. I think he's carrying a little bit as well, so I would like to see him a bit more mobile. Farke did say in his interview that centre midfield and fullbacks are still areas they're looking at. So I reckon if nobody leaves, there's 2 more players to come in, and that'll be it. That'll be the business done. Fullback and that. Fullback comes in, it's probably left back cover, which means then you don't need Vober there, and then you've got an option. We still need cover in the centre half positions. A couple of games coming on, and then ease him back into the crowd as well. So he's not walking straight out into the park. Like you give him 5-10 minutes at the end of every game. You just have to build up 15, 20, 30. Then he starts a couple of games. Maybe then he starts to come in. But does he deserve to walk in ahead of Pascal Stroke, Joe Rodon, Junior Firpo? And that's the question for me. Or does any other player in that team deserve to be dropped to allow him to come in and change the system to fit him into that system? And I don't think that they do right now. I'm okay with him being back. I've said this before. He puts the Leeds shirt on. I'm back him. He wore a Leeds shirt yesterday. He tried. He ran. He worked. That's all you can ask from a player. But he has work to do to win people over. And for me, I don't want to get too excited about him staying here until the window's closed. Because unfortunately, he has history. And until that history is gone, it can't be said that it's not a trend in the player. He's done it once. He might do it again. He might not. But I want to see first. But if he does stay, it's great to have him there. I'm not going to lie. The other night when after the hard game, when Farke said he's going to be reintegrated into the squad, we all looked at that backline and went, yeah, going to be all right this year, I think. If everything stays the way it is, I'm very excited for this team. Very, very excited about this team.
Even if the window's shut now, I'd still be happy.
I'm very happy with it, yeah.
Because you're keeping non-ton Somerville, aren't you? And we won't have the extra man in midfield and an extra fullback, but you're keeping them two. So, as it stands now...
Vober also has played as a CDM for Leeds, so he can also play in that number 6 role if you need another central defensive midfielder, and so he can easily fill into that role and has done it in the Premier League. So why couldn't he do it in the Championship if needed? And it's only really as a backup option. I think you've got good options in there. You've got your 6s who could essentially be Gruev, Ampadu, Vober. You've got your 8s, which looking at yesterday, Gruev will be in that bracket of an 8 as well. So you've got Rotwell and Gruev potentially. That's okay. You add one more into that mix there, and you're pretty well covered and stacked. And that's not including Charlie Crew either. So, it's not bad. And if the new player does come in, the guy that can link with today, Lubicic, then that's pretty well stacked in there. But I think Vober fills 2 or 3 different positions if there in case Leeds need him. So minutes aren't going to be an issue. I don't know how much interest there was in Max and how many clubs were banging on the door to get him for the price that Leeds want to sell him for. And I think given the amount of time Leeds have on his contract, keep him, get promoted, then he's not going to want to go anywhere because he's playing Premier League football. So problem solved.
I think that's what you touched on there, Joe. What I really like about this side is we have players now who can play different formations and different systems. And that's exciting to me. Like whether it is a back 4 or a back 3, we have the personnel to do both. That's what I like, and that's what I look at Southampton last year. The amount of times they changed their formation through the season, and each one worked depending on the players. And they had a lot of depth in that area, didn't they? We didn't. We had one way of playing. We had one kind of level of depth, and that was our 11. Then maybe 2 or 3 on the bench potentially. But now we could turn up with a back 3. We could turn up with a back 4. And
keeps people guessing, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's good to have. It's a good problem.
100%. And I think, a lot of people bemoaned Farke for his use of the bench last season. I think that'll be very different this time around because he'll have a full squad. And if he doesn't, then we can all go, right, Farke just doesn't like using his bench, and we can fairly criticise him. But if we actually look at the bench last season, it was not great in comparison. I've even had people taking shots at Farke for the last 10 games saying, see, Joseph was ready. And it's like, well, no. He gave him little bits, and now after a full pre-season where Joseph has openly admitted himself, I went away, I've worked on myself, he looks like he's gained weight. He's actually played a blinder, and now he's fully ready, and we'll probably get a full season of Joseph bagging goals, and he'll be ready for the Prem. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, he's probably actually played a blinder, but agendas will agenda and all that sort of stuff. Now, we'll finish off on the we'll finish off on the game there. Like I said, it wasn't the best viewing experience for us all because it wasn't live and it wasn't, But I do want to talk about Lubicic. I know a few of the lads have done a little bit of graft. I just want to shout out Lucas Bottomley as well, who messaged me on Instagram, who is an avid watcher. He said he met me back in York in 2019 pre-season. I don't remember it, mate. I don't remember yesterday, to be honest. But yeah, he's in a privileged position because he lives. Let me just read this because it's I do want to give you props, mate. I think he said his wife's German. Where is it? Yeah, where is it? Oh, I've lost it now. I did have it. Sorry about that's it. I live in Austria. My wife is from Munich, and I watch Bundesliga every single week with friends and family, so I have a decent knowledge. But he did say, just on Lubicic, he's definitely better on the ball than Kamara in terms of creativity and vision. He has captain experience at Vienna, so that's never a bad thing to add to the team. And he said he's quite versatile, can play 6, 8, or on the right-hand side, and loves a tackle as well. So yeah, boys, what do you make to the Lubicic one? Joe, I'll come to you. I know you said you'd done only a little brief look. We haven't gone into the fine minutiae detail, but what do you make to that signing?
Yeah, on the playing on the right thing, just to sort of address that bit first, everyone's saying we need a central midfielder. As far as I could tell, looking back through his heat map season on season, the 2 seasons before last year, he was playing very heavily on the right-hand side. I think at points it was the right-hand side of a midfield 3, but sometimes it was playing properly out wide. But last season it was properly all the way across, very sort of workhorsey, will find you where absolutely anywhere on the pitch sort of vibe. From what I'm able to tell from his various numbers and having watched a little bit of him play, because like work occasionally had me on Bundesliga matches, and like I sort of took note of him, like he's dribbling a lot for a midfielder, because what he tended to do was receive the ball and like run at a defense, which is something I think we missed from midfield last season. So we'd have players that would receive the ball and then they would look for the next available pass, and there would be no question in a defender's mind that what our players would do is think, okay, so what's the next pass into a bit of space? And we try and pull them out of position that way. I think it's going to be a big win for us if we've got someone that has a genuine threat of, okay, I've got the ball now, go. Because defenses weren't typically ready for that last season. Another quick look at his numbers. He was in the top 15% of midfielders for shots taken. So he's someone that isn't worried to have a pop, which is quite the opposite of Kamara last season.
Yes.
And he's quite good at receiving the ball as well. Like, does it quite safely, as far as I can tell.
Nice. I think it's going to be quite an easy deal to get done as well. Lucas says, like, Cologne have got a few money problems, recently got relegated, just had a transfer ban, so they're under pressure to sell the best players. He's got 1 year left on his contract, doesn't want to renew, so they have to sell him this summer. So it's just a case of Leeds meeting the asking price, and then we'll get him. Yeah. And it seems like an easy deal to do, and that's from the Austrian Bundesliga journalists out there that he's taken that from. Locker, do you have any thoughts on Lubicic, mate?
Yeah, I've only seen a bit from this afternoon. I watched Bundesliga 2 more than the actual Bundesliga. It's weird. But yeah, one thing I noticed about him is his decision making and how quick he makes a decision on the ball. Whether that is the decision to drive into space, like Joe said, or the decision to find a forward pass as well. He's always looking forward. That's a key part. He makes decisions quickly and he moves the ball quickly, whatever that decision is. And again, like, I don't want to dog on Kamara. I thought he was brilliant for the most part, to be honest. I really like him as a player. He's gone to a good team. So. But one thing Kamara did, and this, again, might have been part of the entire setup and not everyone understanding their roles, but he was quite hesitant at times on the ball. This guy isn't necessarily. He will make a decision quickly. He's always about progressing it forward or progressing it somewhere, So that is one thing that stood out to me. He's very easy on the eye as well, in terms of not in terms of his look, but in terms of what he looks like on the ball. His passing technique is excellent. He really drills it hard into feet and stuff. So a really nice passer of the ball, a nice mover as well. Can get forward, attacks the box. And doesn't shoot a lot, but has got a decent little strike on him as well. Something
lovely bendy shots. He has those ability to pick a corner very well.
Relaxed as well, isn't it? Side-footed shots, yeah. So yeah, nice tidy player, mate. Yeah, a nice tidy player. I'll watch. He's more on him, but
he's 6'2" as well, which also adds to the needing more height in the squad. If you look at Joe Rothwell coming in, he's quite tall. If you look at adding him, he's quite tall as well. That's 2 big, tall lads in the middle of the park as well. So all of a sudden, Leeds becoming a more intimidating looking side, stature-wise as well.
Yeah. It's important.
Keep in mind on the height is intimidating is a centimetre taller than me, and nobody is scared of my existence.
You're just smaller than me, and I would reckon if I stood close enough to you, I could intimidate you a little bit.
I'm 5'8" and I'm intimidating as fuck. Joking.
I was going to say something. I won't. But if you look at it from a defending set pieces perspective, that's 2 more players in there that are above the 6 foot mark that we just didn't have last year.
Yeah,
we were such a small team defending corners last year, and we give away so many corners.
And to be fair, like from now you're looking at say attacking corners. If you do have Voba, Strauk, Rodon, Lubicic, all these players, someone's got to get the fucking head on it eventually and score a bullet header. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be nice.
It's a real Farke signing. I remember Farke at Norwich, like Rantic and all those type of guys. Not huge names, but very effective for what Farke wanted. This suits that. I think this is proper one of them. So
yeah,
should be all right.
And I think it's a deal we're going to get done, isn't it? Like we did Bogle, I think.
So,
it seems relatively.
It seems to be within that ball. You're arguing over at least putting what 3.3 million euro bid. They want 5 million euro. You go for. You're not breaking the bank. That's less than we sold Charlie Creswell for, in and around what we sold Charlie Creswell for. So that's that money paid off. It's not. That's not a big fee. That should be able to get done pretty quickly. But it's interesting because I did think we'd be spending most of the day talking about Todd Cantwell, and then talking about a completely different player now.
Yeah. I know Lockie's a fan.
But... Yeah. Oh, not on Todd Cantwell's son. Burrows is still not signed for Sheffield United, has he?
No, still not.
Medical yesterday morning, didn't he?
I thought it was about 3 days ago. Someone said it's the longest medical I've ever known, isn't it? Maybe.
Weird that, isn't it?
It's a bit mad, isn't it? It would be mad if he turned up now through the door, wouldn't it? Imagine that. I've heard as well, I don't know if this is general knowledge, but that Cooper's going to sign for Sheffield United as well. Is that out there?
I'd also heard a bit of that. And it's quite interesting that Sheffield United are getting very reliant on our sloppy seconds at this point. It's like...
Yeah, I think he's going to Sheffield United, folks. So watch this space on that, because obviously the Blackburn deal's broken down, hasn't it? They've gone elsewhere. I think the Blackburn. I think they've
contract
gone.
length was the problem again. Apparently, which is the issue with Leeds as well. He wants more than a year, and these clubs aren't willing to give him more than a year.
Yeah,
a year with an option, maybe.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Liam Cooper. Yeah, I'm led to believe, mate. Liam Cooper off. I think so.
I was going to say as well, I don't know if we mentioned it. I was just going to mention Joffrey. I wanted to give him a little shout out.
Yeah,
I like
good, yeah.
Joffrey's in here with all these like stars, and he's. Well, I say when he came on, he played with real energy. I like what I saw from Joffrey. If there's one player this year that I really want it to work for, it's him. I've always liked him. He's so talented. He's just lost it, hasn't he, in the last few years? He's lost that form, and I'd love to see him have an impact this season, whatever way that is. Really like him.
Yeah, same. He does look pretty like
thick.
It's clear to me he's staying around though,
Joe, he looks big.
He'd have gone with the likes of JB and Sam Greenwood if he was getting, weren't he? Yeah, he's definitely going to play. I would have thought he would have done pretty quickly.
They've got most of the exits done pretty quickly, but for me, Joffrey's looking a bit thicker than he was last year. He's beefier looking, a lot stronger looking, which wasn't an issue for him in the first place, but he's very much clearly in mind. He's one of the first changes that comes into the pitch as well during pre-season, so he's very much right on the edge of that starting 11, I'd say, which is great because there was so much promise in Joffrey and we all wanted to see it. And then last year it was just injury, illness. Every time he was supposed to start the game, something happened. Like he was supposed to start against Chelsea and then something happened, and that ruined his season last year. So if he can get a clear run at it this year, there's no reason why we can't see, what the potential come true. And he's getting older now as well. Not that he's old, he's still very, very, very young, but he's getting older over the last couple of years, as everyone does, as the years go on. I'm losing my train of thought here. But I think he's more mature than he was. And I think that'll help him as well. So more of that.
It might just be a matter of Farke wants to see him before he sends him on loan, to be sure. That might happen. It might be one of them later on in the window he sends him out. I'm not sure. I
think he's a decent squad option, man. He's a very good, decent squad option. And
I think
good
from watching yesterday, the one thing I noticed was you're so good at doing everything except your final touch whenever you've got the ball. Because there's a final ball through to a centre forward and you've not played it. Or you've tried to take on a player and your touch has been a bit too heavy and you've basically passed it to their defender. And the moment that clicks, he's going to look incredible. but it's just sort of not right now, which might be
It's a
a
bit of
match
confidence,
fitness thing. It could be a
It's a bit of
confidence thing.
confidence.
Yeah.
But that's
was-
what he was
he had a
really
chance
good at
to shoot.
in his youth career. That final product was ridiculous. He was really good at it. So confidence, I guess.
Seems to hesitate now. There was the Harrogate game, he had a half a chance, and against Hanover, he had a half a chance, and each time he kind of hesitated to pull the trigger for a split second, and they got in and closed them. That's pure confidence. That's just a lack of that happening in match situations. Training doesn't count, but in a game situation, he gets one or two of them, he'll be back up again.
Yeah. Just looking on, scanning over Twitter there's a few rumours that Angus Kinnear might have left his post as well. I don't know if people have seen that. I've just seen a tweet there online.
Nothing official, nothing from anybody who really knows what they're talking about, but there's a bit of noise, yeah.
He's not been seen on the camp because I think even on the Inside Ellen Road pod, Greta Steinson were there, Adam Underwood were there, but no sign. And normally he's front and centre, isn't he? He's normally front and centre, Kinnear. You do see things.
I think he's the CEO now. Well, he was the CEO before, but he's a kind of. They have more people there now than before.
Yeah.
It was him, Orton, Rads, and that was it. Turned up to everything. But now there's an entire team of people that he doesn't need to be there. You know, he can be back in Leeds doing stuff. If Greta's there, Nick Hammond and Nick Hammond's over there or not, but it makes sense that one of them was at least back in Leeds doing the day-to-day stuff. You know, keep the place running. So I wouldn't read a huge amount into that. But there's enough noise, and he hasn't done the square ball yet this year as well, and hasn't been mentioned, which is interesting.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, I don't think it'll have that much of an impact, will it really? But apparently, well, just off rumours on Twitter anyway that I'm just looking at now. There's a few bits there, so I guess one to watch. But it looks like Leeds United might get Lubicic, and then we'll look at a fullback option, and then it will be a case of just wait and see what happens with Somerville and Nonto. I think, won't it? I think the rest of the squad's pretty locked in unless a crazy bid comes in.
De Bayo as well. De Bayo's
look,
he's getting minutes, which is important. He's getting a lot of minutes, so he'll be a decent backup, obviously.
It's crazy how in a week we've gone from looking at the squad going, oh my God, we got no Philbots, we've got two centre-backs, to now being, do you know what, we're actually all right, aren't we? We're actually all right. There we go. Then Riley said, Dan from Squareball said he's not going, and I think he knows.
That's grand.
Yeah, so it looks like he must be sticking around there. Dan's quite tight with not tight with Angus, but
he's got contacts with him.
Yeah, exactly. Cool then. Any final thoughts, folks? Anything we've missed?
Game, to be honest.
Yeah, same. I think
enjoying
it's maybe
it.
Saturday, isn't it? Saturday or Sunday, I think.
Oh, we don't know, do we? Whenever they...
No idea.
Today will have been rest, more training Friday, then like Saturday, Sunday, you'd imagine, right?
Yeah. Bamford and James trained separately. Dan James had a slight adductor issue, but that was that put him out last year for a while. I don't want to hear it this year. I don't want to hear adductors this year. Adductors put Stroke out for most of the season. It was anyone for a long period of time last year. It was adductor. There's a reason. If a lot of players are picking up the same injury, there is a reason for that, and that needs to be sorted out because. Can't have that again. It's a long injury. You don't come back, and more often than not, you need surgery. So let's stay away from that one. Dan's feeling it. Give him the rest. Doesn't need it. He's fit.
And we can though now, right? We can with the options. I know we've only seen 2 games, but let's finish with this. Who's been your standout so far in the 2 games you've seen? Doesn't have to be a player. Can just be anything during these that you've gone. Okay, I like that. I'll start us off. If that's all right, I'm going to go with a 3 at the back formation. I'm not meaning that in any sort of jabby way. I just think that excites me that we do have options going into next season. So I'm going to go with that. You can go with a player, you can go with anything. Joe B, I'll come to you.
That Georgie Aronson pairing is going to be very, very fun whenever we see it, I think.
Nice. Like that. Lockie?
Shock people. Purpo. I think he's been really good. Yeah, in every build-up, part of it.
Yeah.
And that press, that gets an honourable mention as well. The press is, I love the press.
Good stuff. Joe, we'll finish up with you.
Tempo. Moaned about it all last year. Lack of tempo. Thought it's been excellent. The speed in transition is excellent. I want to see that next season. There was some of the passing movements that they had at different points was phenomenal. Lucky we talked about it earlier on, but there's that one in the first 3 minutes where Leeds are pressed by Hannover and pass their way out of the press down the left wing inside and managed to get a shot away at goal, which that was very Bielsa-esque looking at that. And if that's what we get this year, great.
The
great.
third
I want
goal
more
was
tempo.
very good as well, wasn't it? When it was like bam, 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 and then it went from Rodon, and then he played that ball through to Somerville. It was really, really nice.
It's like
I think it was the third.
It's like the players on the inside are wall passes. So it's like we want to get Junior into the final third. But we're going to start off in our first third, and we're going to go inside. Firpo runs on, back into Firpo, back inside, on he goes again, back in there, and then put the ball in. And then you've got Aronson dropping off and coming inside, which means he can put that. And that was something that Farke liked last year with Byram on the left-hand side, was the inverted fullback running inside. And then, obviously, with his injuries, they had to change that out a little bit. But if you look at Aronson will do that inverted run every single time from him. Firpo will do the overlap, and you've got that perfect overlap kind of situation going on, which fullbacks hate because, like you played there, if a fullback overlaps you and then another guy goes inside you, you're left in a position where you're like, I don't know who I'm supposed to pick here. Like, where's the danger?
Yeah, so that's where you should run the ball and take the guy out with the ball. That's all I try doing in that situation.
Love that. There's a lot of reasons to be excited, folks. And look, it's Saturday.
It's good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Looks really good.
Yeah. It's a week away on Saturday from Valencia, which means 2 weeks away from the start of the season against Portsmouth at Ellen Road. It's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be good. Smash a like on the video, folks. Make sure you subscribe to Joe Blackburn, Lockie Leeds, and Joe Leeds United. The View. Like the video, subscribe, comment, notification bell, all that jazz. And we'll all probably see you tomorrow at some point on each of those channels or whatever. You will see our faces, I'm sure. Bye-bye.
Bye.